My name is Emily Chin, and I sat at table 12 at my sister Victoria's over-the-top wedding, wedged between strangers, while she flaunted flowers, gowns, and a champagne fountain more expensive than most cars. Mum smiled at my understated navy dress. Dad toasted my steady job. Marcus and his wife dripped condescension. Everyone assumed I was mediocre. Everyone, that is, except me. I checked my watch. 8:01 p.m. My phone buzzed. Forbes had dropped their 30 under 30 issue early. My face lit up hundreds of screens. Entry-level Emily? Gone. Founder Emily? Standing right here. The champagne fountain at my sister Victoria's wedding cost more than most people's cars. She'd made sure everyone knew that. Just like she'd made sure everyone knew about the imported flowers, the celebrity wedding planner, and the custom Vera Wang dress that required 3 fittings in New York. What she didn't mention was who was quietly paying for half of it. I sat at table 12, not with family, but wedged between distant cousins I'd met twice and Victoria's college roommate's boyfriend. The kids' table for adults, as my brother Marcus had joked when he saw the seating chart. He was at table 3 right next to our parents. His wife Jennifer was wearing a smile sharp enough to cut glass as she surveyed the room like a Hulk counting prey. "Emily, sweetie, you look so comfortable," my mother said as she stopped by my table during cocktail hour. Her eyes swept over my simple navy dress. Elegant, expensive, but understated. Nothing like the designer gowns she and Victoria had spent months selecting. I suppose when you work in tech, you don't need to dress up much. All those hoodies and casual Fridays. "The dress is lovely, Mum," I replied, taking a sip of water. "Well, I'm sure it's fine for your office." She patted my shoulder with the same energy someone might use to console a child who'd lost a spelling bee. "Victoria tells me you're still in that same position. How long has it been now?" 3 years, for actually 4 years. My goodness, her laugh had edges. Well, not everyone can be like Victoria. She made senior director before 30, and Marcus with his law firm partnership. But you know, there's dignity in consistency. Someone has to stay at entry level, I suppose. I smiled and nodded. My phone buzzed in my clutch, but I ignored it. Probably another message from my publicist Maya asking for final approval on timing. I told her 8 p.m. right after dinner, right before the speeches. It was currently 6:47 p.m. My father appeared next, scotch in hand, his face already flushed from his 3rd drink. "There's my little Emily still crunching those numbers at data attack, huh? Good, good. Steady work. Not glamorous, but steady." "Actually, Dad, you know what I told Bob Henderson from the club?" I said. "Bob, I've got 3 kids. 2 superstars and 1 who's perfectly happy being ordinary. Nothing wrong with that. The world needs worker bees, not just queens." He clinkered his glass against my water and wandered off before I could respond. Victoria had outdone herself with the venue. The ballroom at the Pacific Grand Hotel, with its soaring ceilings and crystal chandeliers. Her fiancé Bradley came from old money, the kind that whispered rather than shouted. His family looked mildly uncomfortable with Victoria's need to announce every expensive detail, but they smiled politely through it all. Entry-level Emily, Marcus appeared, his wife, Jennifer attached to his arm like a barnacle. "Glad you could take time off from your busy schedule of making coffee and filing papers." "I don't make coffee for anyone," I said evenly. "Oh, right. You're in systems analysis or whatever. I'm sure it's very important." Jennifer's voice dripped with honey-coated condescension. "Marcus works 90-hour weeks at the firm. Real pressure, you know. Life or death stuff, not like data entry." "I don't do data entry either." "Of course not, sweetie. I'm sure you do very technical things with computers." She patted my hand. "It's just so different from what Marcus does." He's arguing cases that set precedents. What did you say your last project was? Something about optimization. Something like that. Marcus leaned in, bourbon on his breath. Mum said you're still renting that studio apartment in the city. You know, Jennifer and I just closed on our third property. Investment real estate, building wealth. Not just earning a paycheck. Maybe I could give you some tips sometime. Help you understand how money really works. My phone buzzed again. Maya, definitely. I could picture her pacing in her office, probably already drafting backup plans if I changed my mind about the timing. I wasn't going to change my mind. Dinner was a parade of perfectly cooked beef tenderloin and roasted vegetables I barely tasted. The cousin next to me talked about his startup. Some kind of app for dog walkers that would definitely be the next big thing. I nodded politely and let him talk. I'd heard 97 startup pitches in the last year alone. This one wouldn't make it past seed funding. Victoria spent dinner circulating from table to table, making sure everyone saw her, complimented her, acknowledged her triumph. She'd saved our family's table for last, of course. Maximum audience, my beautiful family. She'd had just enough champagne to make her volume control slip. Thank you all for being here on my special day. Mum, Dad, you raced me to reach for the stars and look. I caught one. She gestured at Bradley, who smiled indulgently. And Marcus, my brilliant big brother, and his gorgeous wife, a partner at 32. Can you believe it? We come from such an ambitious family. She turned, and her eyes found me at table 12. The smile didn't waver, but something cold flickered behind it. And of course, my little sister Emily, still plugging away at data. 4 years in the same position. Now that's dedication. Not everyone needs to climb the ladder, right? Some people are just happy where they are. Polite laughter rippled through the room. My mother beamed. My father raised his glass. I took another sip of water and checked my watch. 7:23 p.m. The speeches started at 7:45 p.m., right on schedule. Bradley's best man went first. A banking executive who told stories about college pranks and bachelor parties. Victoria's maid of honor, her college roommate Stephanie, talked about their friendship and Victoria's incredible drive to succeed at everything she touches. Then my mother stood up. I'm not usually one for public speaking, she began, which was a lie. My mother loved public speaking, but I couldn't let this night pass without saying how proud I am. Victoria, you've been exceptional since the day you were born. Valedictorian, full scholarship, promoted faster than anyone in your company's history. You made it look effortless. She dapped her eyes with a napkin. And Marcus, my firstborn, a law review editor, a partner before 35, a man who makes a real difference in the world. You two have made every sacrifice worth it. Pause. A very deliberate pause. And Emily, my youngest, you found your own path. Not everyone needs to be a high achiever. There's value in being content with simple work, simple pleasures. We love you just as you are. The condescension was thick enough to choke on. Several people at nearby tables glanced at me with pity. Poor Emily, the disappointment child, the one who didn't measure up. I smiled and raised my water glass in acknowledgement. My father went next, mostly repeating my mother's points with more Scotch-fueled emotion. He talked about excellence and drive and knowing your limitations. He mentioned Marcus' recent case victory and Victoria's promotion to senior director. When he got to me, he simply said, "And Emily's here too. Good, steady job. Can't ask for more than that." Then Victoria stood for her own speech. Thank you everyone for celebrating with us tonight. Bradley and I are so grateful. She paused for applause. You know, growing up with 2 siblings taught me a lot about competition, about pushing yourself, about refusing to settle for mediocrity. Her eyes drifted to me again. She wasn't even trying to be subtle anymore. Marcus showed me that being smart isn't enough. You have to be hungry. You have to want success more than anything. And I like to think I learned that lesson. Well, more applause. Some people peak in high school. Some peak in college. Some people never really peak at all. They just exist. They show up, do the minimum, collect a paycheck, and go home. Jennifer was smirking. My mother nodded sagely. Several guests shifted uncomfortably. I'm grateful I wasn't born with that gene. The satisfaction gene. The one that says, this is enough. Because if I had been, I wouldn't be standing here today as a senior director at 30. Married to this incredible man, living the life I dreamed about. She raised her glass, her eyes locked on mine. So, here's to ambition. Here's to refusing to be average. Here's to knowing that entry level isn't a career. It's a warning sign. The room erupted in applause and laughter. People were looking at me now, not even trying to hide it. The pathetic little sister. The cautionary tale. The one who lacked drive. Marcus stood and raised his glass. To Victoria, who showed us all that settling is a choice. And she chose excellence. To Victoria, the room echoed. I checked my watch. 8:01 p.m. perfect timing. I pulled out my phone as it started buzzing. Not just mine. Phones all around the room were lighting up, vibrating, creating a wave of digital noise that started at the front tables and rippled backward. What the hell? Someone muttered. Oh my God. A voice gasped from table 3. Is that no way? No way. I watched as confusion spread across Victoria's face. Then something that looked like she'd been physically struck. My mother's champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. Marcus grabbed his phone with shaking hands, stared at the screen, then looked up at me with eyes wide as dinner plates. The notifications were everywhere now. Forbes had released their 30 under 30 issue early, breaking their own embargo. The cover story was trending on every social media platform simultaneously. News alerts were pinging on every device in the room. Forbes 30 under 30. The secret billionaire hiding in plain sight. My face stared back from 200 phone screens. Not entry-level Emily. Not simple job Emily. Not content with mediocrity Emily. Emily. Founder Emily. The woman who'd spent 4 years building Nexus AI from a nights and weekends project into a company that had quietly revolutionized enterprise artificial intelligence. The woman whose company had gone public 3 months ago at a valuation of $8.2 billion. The woman who owned 63% of it. Emily, my father's voice cracked. What? What is this? Bradley's father, quiet until now, stood up from table 1. Wait, Emily Chin. Nexus AI. You're that Emily Chin. His voice carried across the suddenly silent ballroom. By God, we've been trying to get a meeting with you for 6 months. Your AI platform is revolutionizing our entire manufacturing division. His wife grabbed his arm. Charles, she's the one the Wall Street Journal called the most influential tech founder since Zuckerberg. I believe so. Yes. Victoria's face had gone from red to white. That's not possible. You work at data tech. You're in systems analysis. I own data tech, I said, calmly, setting down my water glass. Acquired it 2 years ago. It's where we test new features before rolling them out to enterprise clients. I thought I mentioned that. You said you work there. I do work there. I'm the zoo. It's considerable work. Actually, my mother made it sound like a wounded animal. But you rent a studio apartment. I own the building. All 47 units. That studio is actually a penthouse I have custom designed. Calling it a studio is technically accurate. It's one open concept space. Just happens to be 4,200 square FT. Marcus' phone was still in his hand. The Forbes article glowing. It says here you're worth. This can't be right. This says you're worth $5.2 billion. The IPO was very successful. I acknowledge, though honestly that number fluctuates daily. Last Thursday it was $5.4 billion. Market volatility, you understand. 5 billion. My father sat down heavily. Jennifer's face looked like she'd sucked on a lemon. But you never said anything. You let us think. I let you assume. I corrected. I never actually lied. You all just decided what you wanted to believe and never asked questions. Victoria was scrolling frantically through her phone now, reading article after article. MIT Technology Review called you one of the most important innovators of the decade. Time featured you in their Future of Technology issue. The Wall Street Journal. Oh God. Everyone knows who you are. Everyone except your family. Bradley finished quietly. He was looking at me with new eyes. We tried to book you as a keynote speaker for our company's tech summit. Your speaking fee was $250,000. We couldn't afford it. It's $300,000 now. Actually, I had to raise it because I was getting too many requests. Ballroom had descended into chaos. People were standing, crowding around their phones, looking between their screens and me like I might disappear if they blinked. Oh shit. Someone near the bar said loudly. She donated $50 million to children's hospitals last year. It's right here in the article. And $30 million to tech education programs in underserved communities. There's a whole section about her philanthropy. My mother's carefully applied makeup was starting to run. Emily, sweetheart, I don't understand. Why didn't you tell us? Why did you let us think? Think what, Mom? That I was a failure. That I lacked ambition. That I was the disappointing child. My voice remained calm, pleasant even. You never asked what I actually did at Datek. Not once in 4 years. You just assumed, made your jokes and moved on. But we're your family. Exactly. You're my family. And for 4 years, at every dinner, every holiday, every gathering, you made it clear that you thought I was mediocre. You pitied me. You used me as a cautionary tale. I looked around the room. I heard you, Dad, telling your golf buddies about your 2 superstars and 1 ordinary kid. I was right there. I heard all of it. Victoria's hand was shaking as she scrolled. There's a profile here from TechCrunch, an interview from 6 months ago. You talked about staying humble and not letting success define you. Was that about us? Partially, mostly it was genuine. I don't think money or success makes someone better than anyone else. I just find it ironic that you all spent years telling me I was less than you, when by your own metrics, money, status, influence, I surpassed you before I turned 27. Marcus looked like he might be sick. The Forbes list says you're number 1. Number 1 under 30 in all, of technology above everyone. I'm aware, and you just sat there. Let Victoria give that speech. Let Mom and Dad. He couldn't finish. I wanted to see. I said simply. I wanted to see how far it would go. How cruel you could be to someone you thought was beneath you. Turns out pretty far. Bradley's mother approached our table, her expression mortified. Miss Chin, I apologize, but I have to ask. Did you? The articles mention you're an angel investor. Did you by any chance invest in Bradley's firm? I own 18% of Bradley's firm. I confirmed. It was a solid investment. Good management. Innovative approach to sustainable development. I came on board about 8 months ago. Bradley's face went pale. Your BC Capital? The silent partner who insisted on staying anonymous. I'd prefer to keep a low profile in my investments, though I suppose that's over now. His father was pulling up documents on his phone. Miss Chin, We have a quarterly board meeting next month. I had no idea you be. I mean, we've never met, but I assumed BC Capital was a man. Or perhaps a firm. Not your son's sister-in-law. I supplied helpfully. Victoria made a choking sound. The photographer Victoria had hired $500 for the evening. Was now taking pictures of me. Not the bride, me. His assistant was frantically calling someone. Probably their agency. Probably realizing they had exclusive wedding photos of one of the world's youngest billionaires. "This is my wedding," Victoria whispered. "This is my day." "Yes," I agreed. "It is beautiful ceremony, by the way. The flowers were a particularly nice touch. You said you'd contribute to the wedding. You gave us $5,000. You said it was all you could afford." "No," I said I'd contribute. "I never said it was all I could afford. I thought $5,000 was generous considering you sat me at table 12 with people you barely know and spent 3 months telling everyone I was a professional disappointment." Miss Chin, a woman I didn't recognize, rushed over, phone extended. "I'm Melissa Jean with Tech Today. I'm actually a guest. I went to college with Bradley, but could I possibly get a quote? This is news. Forbes wasn't supposed to release this until midnight, but they moved it up. And now it's everywhere. Everyone's trying to reach you. My publicist handles all media inquiries," I said politely. "Maya Chin at Lighthouse PR Chin. Is she my cousin from the side of the family that actually asks what I do for a living?" The woman scribbled notes frantically. "The Forbes article mentions you're notoriously private. It says you turned down most interviews and haven't done a major profile in over a year. Why reveal yourself now?" "I didn't. Forbes did. I was simply going to continue my evening at your sister's wedding where, according to what I'm hearing, you've been publicly described as unsuccessful." "People make assumptions," I said with a shrug. "I find it's educational to let them." Victoria finally snapped. "Educational? You let me humiliate myself. You let me give that entire speech about ambition and entry level. And oh God, everyone he hurt. Everyone knows this is going to be everywhere." "I imagine so. The photographer alone will make sure of that. This is quite the scoop for them." "How could you do this to me?" On my wedding day, I met her eyes calmly. "Victoria, I sat quietly at table 12. I congratulated you. I smiled through speeches about my lack of ambition and your superior drive. I didn't do anything to you. Forbes did this. The market did this. Your own choices did this. But you could have told us. You could have stopped this the same way you could have stopped yourself from mocking me in front of 200 people." I tilted my head. I suppose we both made choices tonight. My phone rang. Maya finally calling instead of texting. I answered Emily. "Oh, thank God. It's chaos. Every outlet wants an interview." The stock jumped another 6% on the publicity. The Forbes editor is furious someone leaked early. But the engagement numbers are insane. We're trending #1 worldwide on 3 platforms. What do? You want me to tell people? Tell them I'm at a family wedding and unavailable for comment. A wedding whose wait. Is this your sister's wedding? The one you told me about where she started laughing. Oh, Emily, please tell me the timing worked out. It worked out, I confirmed, watching Victoria's face crumble as more guests crowded around me instead of her. You're diabolical. I love it. Hey, I'm sending a car for you. You'll need to get out of there before someone from the major networks crashes the venue. CNN already called twice. Send it in an hour. I should at least stay for cake. Marcus appeared at my elbow as I hung up. His usual confidence had evaporated. Emily, I said some things. We all did, but you have to understand we didn't know. Would it have mattered if you did know? I asked. Would you have treated me differently if I'd told you from the start? Or would you have just wanted something from me? He opened his mouth, closed it. No answer came. Jennifer was crying now. Actual tears. My firm has been trying to recruit top tech lawyers. We wanted to pitch Nexus AI. I had a whole presentation planned, and oh God, I called you a paper pusher last Christmas. You did? I agreed in front of Aunt Linda. She laughed. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Are you sorry you said it or sorry you were wrong? She couldn't answer either. My father approached, moving like a man who'd aged a decade in 20 minutes. Emily. Princess. The things I said I didn't mean. You did mean them, Dad. That's the thing. You all meant every word. You just didn't expect anyone to fact-check you. We're your family. We love you. Do you? Or did you love having someone you could look down on? Someone who made you feel superior by comparison? I kept my voice gentle, which somehow made it worse. Be honest, Dad. When you told those golf stories about your ordinary daughter, did you feel bad or did you kind of enjoy it? His face told me everything. The DJ had stopped playing music. The dance floor sat empty. Victoria's perfect wedding had become the Emily Chin revelation party. And there was nothing she could do about it. Bradley stood beside his new wife, looking shell-shocked. I've been networking all night trying to make connections for our firm. And the biggest connection in the room was sitting at table 12 the whole time. I wasn't here for networking. I said I was here for cake. It looks excellent. This isn't funny. I'm not laughing. Bradley's father was suddenly their all business. Miss Chin about the board meeting and our future plans for expansion. Perhaps we could schedule some time to discuss strategic direction. Bradley mentioned you'd be at our summer retreat. I'll be in Tokyo at a G20 Tech Summit, I said. But I'll attend remotely if the agenda warrants it. Of course. And if you're open to increasing your stake in the company, Charles, his wife, grabbed his arm. She's at a wedding. A wedding where her family just spent an hour telling 200 people she was a failure. He shot back. I'd say normal social rules don't exactly apply here. The cake was indeed excellent. 7 tiers of champagne-infused vanilla with real gold leaf. Victoria had wanted to cut it at 9 p.m. sharp. Photos planned. Moment choreographed. It was now 8:47 p.m., and nobody was paying attention to the cake except me. Emily, my mother, sat down beside me, her expression carefully controlled. We need to talk about this, about what happens next. The family reputation is yours to manage, Mom, not mine. But the articles mention us. They say you come from a close-knit family in San Francisco. People will ask questions, then answer them honestly. Tell them you had no idea. Tell them you thought I was mediocre for 4 years. Tell them whatever you want. I took another bite of cake. It's your story to tell. You don't understand what this will do to us. Victoria's firm, Marcus' firm. Your father's business connections. People will think we're horrible. They'll think we treated your youngest daughter like she was worthless. That's not what they'll think, Mom. That's what you did. She recoiled like I'd slapped her. Marcus tried one more time. Look, I know we messed up, but we're still family. That has to count for something. You can't just cut us off over some stupid comments. I'm not cutting anyone off, I said calmly. I'm still here, still at the wedding, still planning to show up for holidays. I just won't be showing up as your punching bag anymore. That's not what Yes, it is. It's exactly what you did. You used me to make yourselves feel successful by comparison. And the worst part, I would have helped you, any of you. All you had to do was ask. But you never asked. You just assumed and judged and mocked. Victoria's voice came from behind me, small and broken. The wedding photos are ruined. Everyone's looking at their phones. The photographers taking pictures of you instead of us. My wedding, my perfect wedding, is destroyed. I turned to look at my sister. Really, look at her. She'd spent 6 months planning this day. Thousands of dollars, countless hours of stress, and yes, it was ruined. But I felt nothing. I'm sorry your wedding didn't go as planned, I said. And I meant it. But I'm not sorry you finally know the truth. Maybe it'll help you understand how it felt to be dismissed and demeaned at every family gathering for 4 years. That's not the same thing. You're right. It's not because I did this to you once. You did it to me for years. The car Maya sent arrived at 9:30 p.m. Not just any car, but a Tesla Model X with a professional driver and tinted windows. Several guests noticed and started taking photos as I gathered my clutch and prepared to leave. You're leaving? My father's voice cracked. But the reception, there's still hours left. I have a 7:00 a.m. call with our Singapore office, I said. And honestly, I think I've had enough family time for one evening. Emily, please. My mother grabbed my hand. Please don't go like this. We can fix this. We can fix what, Mom? Your perception of me. That's already fixed. Everyone in this room now knows exactly who I am. The only thing that changed is your level of respect. And honestly, I don't want respect that only comes after a Forbes cover. I pulled my hand away gently and walked toward the exit. Behind me, I heard Victoria say to Bradley, "This is your fault. You said we should let her sit wherever. You said it didn't matter." And Bradley's quiet response, "Sweetheart, I think that's the least of our problems right now." The cool night air felt like freedom. As I stepped outside, my phone buzzed continuously. Messages from colleagues, investors, friends who'd seen the news. Congratulations mixed with, "Holy that timing," and several "Did you plan that?" Texts. Maya was waiting by the car, laptop open, already managing the chaos. Okay, so the internet is losing its mind. Billionaire crushes sister's wedding is trending, but the narrative is actually in your favor. People are digging up that quote you gave about letting people show you who they are and connecting dots. This is going to be case studied in PR classes. I didn't crash anything, I said. I was invited. Yeah, but you sure made an entrance. Or rather, Forbes made one for you. He grinned. This is legendary. A little chaos agent energy, but legendary. Through the ballroom windows I could see my family still clustered together. Phones out, probably reading articles. About me, about us, about what had just happened. Victoria in her $30,000 dress, looking like her world had ended. Marcus always so confident looking lost. My parents realizing that the daughter they'd pitied was the one who'd surpassed them all. I felt something then, not satisfaction exactly. Not revenge. Kiss. Clarity. They would call tomorrow, next week, next month. They'd want to explain, to apologize, to rebuild. They'd want me at family dinners again. But this time with respect, with deference, with the knowledge of who I really was. And maybe someday I'd want that too. But not tonight. Tonight I had a company to run, a world to change, and a future to build that had nothing to do with proving anything to anyone. I'd already proven everything I needed to prove. Take me home, Maya, I said, sliding into the car. As we pulled away, I looked back one last time at the Pacific Grand Hotel, at the wedding that would be remembered for all the wrong reasons, at the family that had spent years underestimating me. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Bradley's father. That was the most impressive power move I've ever witnessed. Let's talk about that board seat, and perhaps a larger partnership. You've clearly been underutilized in our organization, much like you were underutilized at that wedding table. I smiled and put my phone on silent. The night air rushed past as we drove toward my building, My 47-unit building with its 4,200 feet studio penthouse. And for the first time in 4 years, I felt like I could finally breathe. Entry level forever, they'd said. If only they'd known that my entry level was everyone else's summit, and I'd been at the top the entire time.